Jay here for Stretford Paddock, that's Joe Smith, and this is a little chat about Ruben Amorim. We did the post-match review, you spoke to Steve, I spoke to Andy Tate, me and you spoke to each other. We've had the sort of dissection, the analysis of it all, but we have to face facts. This is a manager who is under pressure. This isn't the first game he's lost. I think it's the 17th Premier League game he's lost in 33 outings. Woeful statistics. Yeah. We do like Ruben Amorim as a man, the way he carries himself. We can see what he's trying to do. I think we both agree on that. But he isn't quite doing it. And we're getting to the critical point now where serious questions are being asked from everyone. Joe, you've always been that guy who's quite supportive, very positive when it comes to managers, when it comes to players. Your default saying is to back them. And I love that about you. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand at the minute with Ruben Amorim in terms of not what you want, because I think it's obvious you want him to succeed and you've said that, where you think he's going? Do you see this working with him?
Obviously it's not working at the moment, and I don't know what's going to change to make it start working, unfortunately. The system is just a constant talking point. Every single week we end the game and we talk about the system and is it working, and 3 and then 2 in the middle and 5 at this and 3, and it's like when we were playing 4 at the back under Ten Hag and it wasn't working, it was the system's fault then because there was this big gap in midfield, but it wasn't anything to do with us playing 5 at the back. It was a different problem, and it feels like obviously you can have back-to-back managers who just get it wrong, but I feel like our midfield hasn't changed really since Ten Hag was here. Well, no, not really, literally. The midfield personnel hasn't changed, and we've still got this big gap in midfield, and obviously you can put more people in that gap, and that is one way to fix things, but that isn't always a sort of long-term solution. You need to have people that actually work in the Premier League. There are other teams that are successful. Crystal Palace won the FA Cup playing 3 at the back. They look a lot stronger and a lot better than we do. Manchester United at the moment, regardless of who we play in there, whether it's Mainu and Bruno, Mainu and Ugarte, Bruno and Ugarte, Bruno and Casemiro, too often we look overwhelmed in midfield. And I think, changing the system might help that, but then we played with a 4 at the back with 2 defensive midfielders and a number 10, which is what would end up happening if Bruno played. If we played a 3 in midfield with Bruno, Cobby and Ugarte, for instance, Bruno would naturally drift forward as he does, and you'd end up having Cobby and Casemiro as your 2, or Cobby and Ugarte as your 2, and we'd be here again. The problem is we don't have the players to do any successful system in the Premier League. All the top teams have got big, strong, athletic midfielders in there in the middle of the park. We don't have that. So there's loads, and that's not the only problem, but there's loads of problems at the moment. And what do I think will happen with Ruben Amorim? I think he's probably going to get sacked before the end of the season.
I agree.
That's what I think will happen.
Yeah.
The reason I'm not voting for that, and I'm not loving the idea that that's going to happen, is I think there are big problems that until they're fixed, no manager will succeed. And what I like about Ruben Amorim is the way he has ruthlessly got rid of people that we have been crying out for ages that need to be got rid of. He's got rid of Rashford, he's got rid of Sancho, he's got rid of Antony, he's got rid of Rasmus Højlund, he's got rid of other players as well that I think, they needed to go. This wasn't going to work with them here. Victor Lindelof had been here for probably, 4-5 years too long? Since that second season under Solskjaer, it's obvious he wasn't good enough, and he was still here until this summer. I like that about Amorim. We needed that reset, but at the moment, I just think it's not working, and you can't just keep losing. No. I think he's probably going to get sacked.
That's the issue, and it's all right getting rid of players. Like when Ollie sort of came in, and he was like, obviously didn't fancy, was it Fellaini? He didn't want Sanchez. Even Lukaku, I know Lukaku played a lot of games under Ollie initially, but it obviously wasn't his guy. Yeah. And then Martial became his number 9. But Ollie, at least for those first sort of couple of seasons, had enough success where you can go, okay. He's moved on players, but it's worked because Martial, Greenwood and Rashford are banging in loads of goals. We're finishing 3rd, we're finishing 2nd. There was that success, wasn't there, to hold on to. And that's what Ruben Amorim's not got at the minute. He's not got anything where he can go, look what I've done here. All he's got is look what I did at Sporting, and look what I've had to deal with, look what I've inherited, and look what I'm trying to do. I think he needs something where he can go, look, even Ten Hag had it to a certain degree where he could go, first season, look what I've done. Finished 3rd, won a trophy, got us to another cup final. Can't argue that wasn't a successful season. That's the issue I think Ruben Amorim's got, is just that lack of evidence. Before I get you to come back in, just going to give you a couple of quotes from Ruben Amorim, because my sort of worry, let's call it a worry, but one of the things I've said about Ruben Amorim is sometimes I get the sense like he's almost giving up, like he's just sort of deflated with it. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but here's what he had to say after the Brentford game. He says, of course we want to win. We didn't control the game. We played the game at Brentford. First ball, second ball, set pieces. All the crucial moments were against us. Tough to lose again, but we need to think about the next one. Then he went on to say, it's always the same. When we win, it's not the system, and when we lose, it's the system. I understand that. So he's sort of facing his critics there. He's talking about one of the reasons why we lose, against Brentford, and then he's saying about these criticisms he's getting, it's the system. It does seem to be this recurring theme, doesn't it? Like you mentioned it there with the system, but is it, do we get to the point where you go like you do, well, it's not just the system, it is the players as well. We haven't got the players to work this, regardless of what system. Or does he have to just go, look, maybe temporarily we just do some sort of change, maybe just to give everyone a bit of a boost is probably the wrong word, but a change of some sort to hold on to.
This is the sort of politics of it, isn't it? This is like, politicians have to face this same thing where you'll be asked about one problem over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is his sort of Brexit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that matters right now while we're losing is the system, and it's the system's fault. And unfortunately, whether it's right or wrong, he has been wed, and his systems have been wed to these losses. So that's that. That's the only problem. And obviously, it's not the only problem, like I've said before, but it is a problem.
Yeah.
We are struggling with this system. My only worry would be, and it's sort of, not to kind of counter what you've said really, but your point before about having something to hold on to and these other managers. All of those managers that you mentioned were eventually sacked in their first bad season. So obviously Van Gaal got to the end of that bad season, was sacked. Solskjaer finished third and then second, and then halfway through his first bad season was sacked. Ten Hag finished third, and then after his second season wasn't very good. He didn't get the next season. He got sacked roughly now last year, having followed on from that bad season. So it hasn't with any of these managers. It doesn't ever sort of amount to anything, and that's my worry is. With Amorim, at least the stuff off the pitch is being sorted in a way that most people seem to be understanding. I just think I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. And I look at other clubs and I don't see why they can get it working and we can't. And why manager after manager after manager. The criticism of Solskjaer was there are no tactics. Okay, fine, get rid of him then in this tactical debate. Even though there was, but that was the political line was he has no tactics. It's just vibes. Gone.
Yeah.
Ten Hag. The political line became with him, there's this massive gap in midfield, and you abandoned your tactics from Ajax because you didn't think it could work at Man United. Gone. Now we've got, in between those there was Ralf Rangnick, who came in with his tactics. The players, for whatever reason, never bought into those tactics.
Yeah.
It was always going to be temporary, but we didn't even get close to Gegen pressing under Ralf Rangnick. Gone. Ten Hag, I've mentioned. Now on Ruben Amorim, the problem is 5 at the back. And yet, in the meantime, you've got teams like Bournemouth, like Brentford, like Brighton, like Crystal Palace, without the resources, without the stature, without anything that Manchester United have got, adapting to manager after manager in different styles. I know they're not going flip-flopping one and to the other over time, but they can do it. Are Crystal Palace's players way better than ours? Or Brighton's or Brentford's players noticeably better than ours? I don't think they are.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know his answer because on one hand I think the players aren't there, but on the other hand I think, well, there's other teams doing it. Why is it that we consistently cannot get up to the technical standard of not just 2 or 3 teams in the league? There's probably 13, 14 teams in the Premier League that have a higher technical floor than we do. We look sloppy and lost every single game, and this isn't just started now. This started in the second season under Erik ten Hag. And it's continued for nearly 2 years now. I don't know why that is. But I do, like I said before, I do think at some point Amorim is going to lose his job because you can't just go year and year and year whilst having a 27% win rate. But I really am at a loss. And I think the club is at a loss. That's the thing that worries me. Wilcox doesn't seem to know. Berardi doesn't seem to know. That we've already sacked a technical director because he didn't seem to know or didn't agree with the other 2 at least. So we're here again. And I don't know what's going to change that Manchester United are going to pull through this the other side and all of a sudden click into gear. Look, Aston Villa when Emery arrived. Scrambling, couldn't get a win under Gerrard, and Emery comes in and they've been one of the best teams in the Premier League ever since. They're struggling now, admittedly, but I just don't get why United don't have that click in them. We can't adapt to a manager's style, stick with it and win games, and we haven't been able to for 10 years. It's bizarre.
It is bizarre. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. We haven't got all the answers. We want to know what you guys think. What needs to change? Does a new Ruben Amorim need to change his system? Does the manager need to change? Is he going to get sacked? Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, or are we just in this vicious circle we've been in for ages, where it's a manager comes in, he's full of ideas, he's got a great reputation, everyone buys into what he's doing, then the wheels come off and he ends up getting sacked. I mean, Ruben Amorim, he's not even had the usual 2-season cycle, has he?
Nothing.
He's on David Moyes sort of time at the minute. Joe, always a pleasure, never a chore. Go and check out the Sloppy Joe's podcast. You know where to find me. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. Thanks for watching.